Hi, and welcome to the Diablo podcast, your home for Diablo diehards, tryhards, casual, and hardcore alike. I am your host, Xanth, and I'm joined today by my lovely co-host, Neinball.
Oh, hi.
I was going to do like a little bit longer wind up, but we're not here for that. Like, we don't need that. We can just get to business. I think the people appreciate it. Um,
Oh, they'll like it.
Yeah. Like, you know what? Finally, 91 episodes in, they finally just they get after it. So speaking of getting after it, what are we doing today? Well, it's the first podcast of 2026. Happy New Year to you all. Happy New Year to you, Nineball. Um kind of
A happy New Year to you too, Xanth.
well, I appreciate that. This is the year of, I guess it's the year of hatred, right? It's the we have it,
Again,
yeah,
part
again,
two.
it's part two. It is the year of hatred. We have Lord of Hatred coming out soon. We have BlizzCon this year. We are now in the year of BlizzCon. It's going to happen again. And maybe, eyeball, maybe I'm going to go.
So we'll see. We'll see how that
Yep.
happens.
Yeah.
It'd be a great time. It's your first, right?
This would be my first. I have always wanted to go. Uh, I've had many opportunities, right? Thankfully, being in this little space and knowing people, things have availed themselves from time to time, and it just never could work. This year's looking like it can. So, um, yeah, it is the year of BlizzCon, and a new Diablo expansion, and who knows what else. So what are we doing today? We're going to talk Diablo. We're going to talk about this season. Kind of give a little recap because we last time we talked, we were about a week in. Highs, lows, middles. Then let's talk about what's happening in February. There's something happening for Diablo 4 in February. It's on the calendar. It We don't know what it is, what it could be, but I have some theories. And then let's do the one bit of speculation station that we did not really cover in our last episode, lore. You're the lore guy, right? You know Diablo lore more than anybody. What is Lord of Hatred going to be about? What are our story beats? Who do you expect to come back? What do we expect to happen? Um, and all that jazz. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the season. How has your season gone? What would you rate it
Oh, I
if you're
mean,
going to rank this season out of all of them?
uh, I'd probably have to say that this is definitely up there. Ranking it against like say like Season of Blood or the what was it, Season 4 when they originally introduced tempering and masterworking, it definitely ranks up there as one of my favorite seasons. Definitely the best one of the expansions so far. It does kind of suck that the only season that I really actually truly enjoyed is the last one. But
Second to
hey,
last, technically.
uh, second to last, yeah, I guess, because we're gonna have the season launch first,
Yeah.
and then which is actually was one of my complaints of the Vessel of Hatred was that because you had this dual mode of I want to play the expansion story, but I also have to do but it's also the beginning of the season, so there's like that wanting to go through and like get to it and grind, and you're having to after you beat the story do all these other little tiny things in order to unlock all of the actual like extra content and such. So the actual expansion itself launching a month into the season means that I get to start the season, I get to get a character, level it up, all other types of stuff. And if I want to, kind of like replay through the regular campaign and then the Vessel of Hatred to get re-familiar with the story, and then the expansion itself will launch. I don't know how it will work, but I assume that we'll just be able to play the expansion with our seasonal character.
That's yeah. I'm
You
not
know.
super sure. That is always the hard part of like a seasonal mechanic and the campaign. They usually do not work very well together.
Mhm.
So we know
And I
the
guess
new
technically,
story,
yeah, technically, what was it? You know, because of the XP scaling and such, that some of the speed running strategies were actually playing the campaign in order to like level your character. You know, just because it was one of the fastest ways to get to 60. I guess it will be 70 soon, so it's going to be very interesting seeing as we get closer to March and the actual launch of the next season how they're going to handle, you know, everything with the is it literally just a month-long season, you know, or do we get a like a switch flipped, you know, just a
right?
month into it?
Well, maybe there is something about like, okay, you have a month to play around with the new seasonal power or whatever it happens to be. There is a waning effect of every season anyway, where like, oh yeah, go play with this, learn about it, have some fun, and then all right, now it's the expansion. Yeah, this season's still running in the background. You can still integrate it to however you're playing once you're done with the campaign, and then we will drop a new season 2 months from now, and then we'll kind of hit the ground running. If you know the season that we got with Vessel was one of the most lackluster.
Oh yeah.
The Realm Walker, was it Rift Walker or Realm Walker?
It was, they called it a Rift Walker, but the monster was a Realm Walker.
Yeah, okay, so I get to be right and wrong simultaneously. Um,
Yep.
that was not that fun. It wasn't super interesting, and yeah, it didn't quite hit the bill.
Because Yeah, because wasn't like the entirety of like the season mechanic was, oh, don't forget to use this elixir like every hour while
Right.
you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if if we have a season that is lackluster by comparison, maybe having it early and then the campaign after might be a good thing. Now, hopefully, the season isn't bad, right? I think we can all hope that it isn't bad, but I think with that first season of Vessel, we were more concerned with doing tributes and the raid. Everybody was doing the raid. Um,
Oh yeah, every single person has done the raid, especially on this podcast.
yeah, I I think it's wild that that was such a core selling feature and haven't touched it since. Don't think I'm going back to it. It just kind of missed the mark. But hey, a swing and a miss. Just don't integrate it to Lord of Hatred.
I I would rather of them tried to do new content and it didn't work out than not do it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
is there stuff that can be salvaged from the Dark Temple? Absolutely. There's some boss fights in
Sure.
there that could easily be integrated and maybe changed. Um, so maybe that jumping in and out of certain things is possible as a solo player, or to what extent I don't know, but there's some cool stuff in there. I would absolutely love to see them play with, but I think like yeah, that forced grouping just didn't feel natural. Um, Going back to your season playthrough though, in terms of like how it's going, you still didn't touch a paladin, right?
Nope. Nope.
Okay. So I think like that is another testament in terms of like how well the season is. That like for a lot of people right now, the biggest selling feature is the new class, and it is
Oh yeah.
so fun. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But for you, just playing a necromancer to be taking this season and elevating it to some of the better seasons is is a good sign, right? It's not just the new shiny class. It is the new features. It is the tempering. It is Hellfire or Helltides being fun.
Yeah, and rewarding, it's actually it's funny because as I got into like kind of like the longer grind, like the kind of like the in-game loop, I started seeing like some flaws in the system with the new like loops that they have created, but it was relatively minor compared to like the rest of the fun that I was having with the game. Just being able to go through. I mentioned on last episode, I actually cared about my nightmare dungeon keys, which who would have thought that that would be something that we would that I would even care about again. That nightmare dungeons were fun, hell ties were fun. It's amazing that when you actually get something out of content, because gear is always like a crapshoot, and but being able to grind experience just doing hell tides, is felt better, as opposed to you're Paragon 100 now, so good luck getting anything, any like legitimate experience outside of the pit, which was one of like my pain points. Is the new pit is worse than it has ever been.
Yeah, there are still flaws, and I think like that is a big thing here. Like there's still issues there. I don't
Yeah.
I don't like the aspect system in its current form, and I think like, but we can see on the horizon that those things are changing, right? Or at least
Yeah,
should be. Um, but things are getting better. Uh, from
things
my
are definitely heading in a yeah, they're heading in a better direction, that's for sure.
absolutely, I have played like every version of Paladin at this point. Um, and I had to eventually stop because now the core Paladin version is an Oradin, which is just walking. You just well, you run and everything dies, and it is a zero button build, and I love that. I absolutely love that that build exists. But it like once you get there, once you make that one, it's really hard to go back to doing anything else. So like I want that build to exist when Lord of Hatred launches, but I want it to be harder to get. I want like a lot of stipulations to make an. In Path of Exile, they have a version of it. It's called Righteous Fire. And the deal is, as you're burning things around you, your health is dropping. So like you need to balance out some form of regenerative health that will compensate for the amount of damage that you're doing. And you can do it. Like it's not super hard, but there's a lot of sacrifices that get made along the way. I want that Oradin build to exist. I don't want it to exist by just slapping on one pair of gloves and be like, all right, well, now I just walk everywhere and everything dies. Like it's just too easy to get up and running. But oh man, oh man, as I'm just standing there watching things die, there is something very fun for that. Um, but yeah, don't make it that easy. Paladin has been awesome. I still haven't even played a druid yet this season, so that's still on my season to
Oof.
do list. I know it after last season, I loved that version of Druid so much that it was going to be hard to go back and not have like those chaos uniques to kind of set that up. Druid is doing still pretty well by comparison, but I'm still enticed by the shiny and new. I've also died several times this season and still managed to keep re-rolling, which is, I think, another testament to the season that even
It's a
after
good
dying,
sign.
right? Like I had a few seasons where after like I've done everything in this season that I relatively need to, but I did have my I was pushing with the Oradin into I forget what level pit just to see like where does this go, and I did die, and I immediately re-rolled even though I don't need to, right? I don't need to. I've completed the seasonal journey. I've done everything I can. I'm like, yeah, I still kind of want to. I still want to keep going. Maybe I could push this Oradin a little bit more. So yeah, this season's been good so far, and I'm excited for what's to come. So that is the transitional point. What's happening in February? So this is like a weird thing, right? We get the Paladin that drops, and that's awesome. We get to start our season.
Mm-hmm.
We are enjoying the, the newness of it all. We get the holiday break, we get the goblin event. People are going to start filtering back to work tomorrow, and January is going to start to, become its normal routine. And then there's something that's going to happen in February before we get a new season, right? There's still a season that's going to happen in March. What do you think the February thing is? It's burned, like specifically. If you remember, it's like it's burned. You see like an S.
Yeah, it's it's hard to say because I think wasn't one of the things that they had done last time, it just ended up being like the StarCraft collab.
Well,
But
they're
like this one, there's a collab that launches in March.
correct with the new
So I don't
season.
think that they would be doing. Yeah, so I don't think that they'd be doing like back-to-back collabs like that. And then the tower beta begins in
January.
January,
Yeah.
so that's not it. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to say. We know what was it on the timeline that they had shown. Like we don't get any more of the permanent updates until the expansion,
Yeah.
but like uh, the like in the graphic, and I don't know if Rush can put this up on the screen, but like in the graphic, it says like permanent updates, and it says skill tree updates for all of the classes.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, the whole part about like the campaign, the second class, the new region, and things like that aren't like listed. And so like maybe those are that stuff that's specific to the expansion. You have to purchase that to get, and then like the skill trees is the only thing that's something that everybody gets regardless of whether you have the expansion or not. But they could potentially do one of those other things, like maybe we'll get the other class, or maybe they'll unlock like a teaser for the campaign or something along those lines in February. Because that would also, be would be nice, like some sort of like lead up to it. Like a little bit of like an expanded story. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a let's touch on a few of them. The where I'm leaning the most is kind of maybe where you're at is the skill tree. What would bring in a lot of people back to a season to play around with and test before you roll out the next, season in March? New skill trees, right? This is February is
Yeah,
usually towards that end of the season when people are not playing as much as what they could be. New skill trees seem logical, and I think you bringing up that point, like you can't have a skill system for just people who've bought Lord of Hatred, right? Base
yeah,
game Diablo players, when the skill tree rolls out, they're going to have access to that. Like they kind of have to, because I can't imagine a system where they don't integrate, right? Like, oh,
yeah. Because
you
then Paragon and itemization don't work if you don't have everybody on the same page.
right. So that's kind of my hope of just like, okay, we're
Could it
we're
be a PTR?
it could, but like I don't know. PTR, like I I don't think PTR is a big like slap it on marketing, you know?
Yeah,
Like, oh, we're doing a public test
me-
realm. And we're
yeah.
obscuring it also, right? Like we're also obscuring this information
Steering it. Yeah,
because like they could say like, oh
I,
yeah, we'll test it. We'll do it. But skill tree could seem logical. But let's
yeah.
go to
Or it could be the second class.
that's where I was thinking as well, because there is some precedent for that in, we go back to with Vessel getting the pets, right? Oh, if you pre-order now, you can get
Yeah.
a pet, and then suddenly later on, like, oh, here, you can have all of them. Um, Now, there's a major difference between a pet that picks up your gold and a new character class.
One of them I'll use.
That's true. But the precedent has been set before of like, hey, when you pre-order, you get this thing, and then later on, like, oh, guess what? We're gonna drop the other parts of it, and you can have those now too. Maybe, or it could be the second class reveal. Maybe in February,
Yeah.
we'll reveal what it is. This one won't go live until the actual release, maybe.
Maybe, it's just because what is it? Because in the December cutout, it says season 11 and Paladin, and so that's why I was just thinking like February could be the they
Yeah,
could just drop the other class at the end of the season. It would get people coming back in droves, that's for sure.
yeah. I It would be interesting too. Maybe there's something. Maybe that's not the worst idea to drop the other new class, and then people fully have an idea of what they're getting themselves into. They're okay. We know what these classes are. Some creators have gotten hands on. They've got an idea of these builds. But I also feel like maybe you don't want to drop the second class until those skill trees are out because
The amount of time and effort that it would take to make the skill tree for the class as in this current system that will only be used for a couple months.
right. Yeah. So at most you have and as we've seen with the Paladin, maybe there has been a working framework that matches this older skill model, then, but we don't know how far along any of this stuff could be. Like where this class was developed. I mean, granted, we've been hearing about a Paladin for a long time, but we haven't been hearing about whatever this one is, and we'll get to that in speculation. But um, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm still leaning most on the skill tree. On like, hey, it's February. Why don't you guys go test out these skill trees before we roll out the new season? You can play with them, get an idea of what you want to do with the build, and then the season's going to launch in March. And here's what the season theme is, or whatever it happens to be. But I could be wrong.
Oh, they could also introduce fishing. The whole comment that you had about the pets, them going through and adding in the pets, it could be fishing. They could just add in fishing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they could. Um, there's sometimes like in certain things, I'm just like, what are we doing? Um, was there a big contingent of Diablo fans there's like we we desperately need fishing. We need it. I think this is I wish Nerdwords were here because I would compare this need for fishing in the game to much like being able to pet the dog, right? You can pet the dog, well you can
Okay.
fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean I guess I can, but why? Um what-
I've been fishing in Monster Hunter.
it but like there's a purpose for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the
They could make a purpose for fishing. There's a purpose for fishing in World of Warcraft. And some
yeah,
people just do it for fun.
yeah, well,
So
and
many
like
games people just fish for fun. Some people even fish in real life for fun.
yeah, God, I don't even know why. Not not a fan. I would rather do anything else.
And if you've never actually like been fishing for a hobby, like an actual hobby, it's also very expensive.
Mm. Isn't that every hobby though? Like it
Pretty much. It's like every hobby that you're not in, you think is it can't how expensive
how
can it
it
be? And then
it
like
can't.
one of my actual like I say this, one of my Warhammer buddies, another
Mm-hmm.
expensive hobby,
Yeah.
and like, he was, when anybody would complain about the price of like Warhammer models, he would say how much his fishing rod collection cost him. And it's like, in putting it in comparison, it's like, hey, Warhammer isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. And,
No. No.
um,
No, I
golfing, like, yeah,
well, running. Running should be one of the cheapest
running,
things, right?
yeah.
All you got to do, just get
Yep.
outside, step one foot in front of the other, and then you're like, oh crap, running shoes. And
How
then
many shoes do you go through in a year?
I burned through one pair every 2 to 3 months, depending on training. So
And
between
these aren't cheap shoes either, right?
no, like 100, 150, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. And then if you
Yep.
want to like do races, I mean, races are my the 100 miler is $400. The 50 miler is $200. Yeah, like it adds up. Like
Yeah.
it's, but you get free t-shirts, right? It's not free. It's never free.
Hey,
Um, yeah, it's no cheap
side
hobbies.
benefit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No cheap hobbies. Um, we're dovetailing here. Nobody cares about how much our hobbies cost. It's
Fair.
what's the role of fishing in Diablo? It's never existed. Um, do you get the best loot from it? If that's the case, then we'll do it a lot. Or is fishing like I'm curious how hard they're gonna go on it. Is fishing something that like leads to something else? That like maybe you fish so that you can get the I don't know, Wirt's other leg to make the new
Other leg.
other leg um to make the new cow level. Okay, now there's a purpose for it. Or is it going to be this is where you're getting the best uh, uh set pieces or whatever else it might be? Do you think they go that hard? Do you think that's what
I I could just see it as like, maybe another component of a crafting system with the
mm,
Broderick cube,
yeah,
just something that you can use to fish for like materials, whether it be for like crafting like elixirs or incense, or maybe we'll get, you know, oils,
right.
that we can, put like an enchantment on our weapon or something along those lines with it. I see it as it's, probably it's either going to be entirely for fun and it has its own like little achievement system for people that enjoy it to brag about, or it's going to be some form of consumable
Yeah.
that either you enjoy and can do and farm, you farm money and pay other people for, or, it's optional and you can just ignore.
Man, there is a small part of me that hopes there's experience attached, so we can see pacifist hardcore runs and all the fun stuff
You
that
know,
gets associated with that, because it's never truly been possible. Um, okay, probably not fishing. Maybe the skill trees, maybe a class. Who knows? Um, we don't know a lot right now. This is kind of an exciting time. An exciting time. When do you think, before we go into lore, when do you think we're going to start getting drip fed some of this info?
I imagine that they're probably getting into the office this week along with most other people, so we will probably start seeing the news drops and such. Within the next week or two. I honestly believe.
Hmm,
Starting the press tours and things like that, because we're already here. It's just under 4 months away.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot to do, and it's kind of interesting to like imagine where those avenues are going to be, because Game Awards, big audience, but there's still a lot
Mhm.
left to deliver. Where's that going to happen? Is it a campfire chat? That doesn't seem as big though, right? For like big reveals. Think of like what happened with, I suppose, like
I
the
mean, if when you go through and you look at it, like trying to have like an in-depth conversation about this is like the revamp for the skill tree and such. That isn't something that you do at a award show
Yeah.
or
Oh,
a
absolutely.
convention. You know, yeah, that those types of things are literally just done like that.
Right.
Like either a campfire chat or like a developer update or something along those lines. That's where we'll get that information. There'll probably be some sort of IGN PC World exclusive interview where they showcase it first and foremost and such, and then like a week or two later, more in depth, article on the website, and then like a campfire chat or something along those lines. But
Yeah.
you know, here we are, like just like I said, just under 4 months away. The press tour begins tomorrow.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I think about it like there was a massive production for the reveal of the Spiritborn, right? Like it was an hour
Yeah.
long presentation uh in the Xbox studios in Washington. We know our good buddy Macro was out there. He got to go and play it on stream, as well as a few other people. They're not friends of the show, right? Not friends of the show. Other people, good people, but not friends of the show. And then I also that's when I was at Kind of Funny with friend of the show Rod Ferguson, former. It could happen. Just we'll get him on. So yeah, there was a big production, but that was all in house. I'd be curious to see if they do something similar, right? Something similar to that of like, hey, let's go through the new skill tree. Let's go through, the new class. It seems like that would be a good 1-2 punch of like a bigger production. Bring in some people to talk about this. Maybe some people. No, I'm kidding. Get your boy, get Macro, get just get cool people out there. Um,
Mhm.
okay, so let's dip a toe into your area. Uh, you, we don't do it a lot on this show. We don't talk lore a lot on this show. We are wasting your talents. We are wasting your talents from years and years of experience. But we're gonna dip our toe in to some lore elements. We ended Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred on sort of a bummer, right? Like we had a build up
Yeah.
to Mephisto, and we get a little bit of story around Akarat. We get a little bit more world building, and then it just kind of stops, right? So in my brain, logically, as we're going into Lord of Hatred, obviously we'll fight Mephisto.
Hopefully,
God, I hope so. Uh,
a precedent has been set, and so we get to make that joke until the end of time.
I'm just gonna say Blizzard does have the opportunity to do the funniest shit when we get to
Funniest
the
thing
end.
ever. Yeah.
Um, Turns out it was Belial the whole time, and
The
Mephisto.
whole time.
Just once, I want Belial to be like actually behind it, and nobody expects it. Like, oh shit, it was Belial. Didn't even know that. Uh, I digress. So we're gonna fight Mephisto. We're going to Scovos. We have the Paladin order returned. So those are the things that we kind of know. We also know there's a Herodric cube. I feel like I don't know, some character has to give us that, right? We're gonna go into Scovos and be
Yeah.
like, hey, Wanderer, here's a cube of magical power. There's a character I'm thinking that might want to do it, but I could be wrong. That's all I know though. I'm not a lore expert.
Yep.
I'm not a lore master. I think that's what's happening. So what do you think's going to happen? What do you at least hope from like a story perspective we're going to see? Because we're going to a place that we have never been to in all of Diablo,
Yep.
but we've heard
And
about
it's
for a
actually
long time.
we we've heard about for a long time, but we haven't heard all that much because the Scovos Isles has always been one of those ones where it's a land shrouded in mystery. A extremely kind of like insular culture that is extremely protective of their borders. We'll trade with you, don't set a foot on our isle type thing. And so there's not a lot that is known about the Scovos Isles, both in game and out of game, and so it's makes sense that kind of like we're going there because it's something that's always been hinted at and has never been expanded upon, and the creative team kind of has full reign to do whatever they want because it's literally just it's kind of like a pseudo Greek culture, and it is extremely like dense, thicketed jungle lands with like cities in the trees, and that's what we have of the Scovos Isles. It's kind of like been established in lore. There's Amazons, there's oracles, and that's about it. That's really the extent of everything that we know of Scovos. It's kind of like a blank canvas. They can kind of do whatever they want, with it. I do believe that they have put some hints, because for the first time, we've had the Diablo lore books, the book of Lorath, the book of Prava and such. We've had to give us like little tiny like tidbits and such, but we haven't had a true Diablo novel since the Order, or sorry, the Storm of Light with Reaper of Souls, and then there was like a short story, Mordred, that came out like a year or two after that. That was just kind of like a little like one-off story introducing a character that then never really got expanded upon. Um, and this one is coming out in April. So I believe it's coming out like the week before the expansion launches. And it takes place um, shortly after the events of Diablo 3. Well, I guess it takes place after Diablo 3, before Diablo 4. It's just the stringer is in a world called by Malthael's reaping. That the Heroic Order is humanity's only hope, and that's kind of like the setting for it. But there is like in that little blurb book description, uh, that it goes through and it says, hoping to strengthen the Heroic Order, Tyrael and two mages set sail for Scovos, where Sho Ren and four other Haradrim were sent years ago to establish diplomatic relations with the Ascari and were never heard from again. Though the risk is great and the chance of reclaiming kin, as well as the Heroic Vault hidden deep within the heart of the Isles, remains too great of an opportunity to pass up. So it's one of those ones where we had some Haradrim that were sent to the Scovos Isles, never heard from again, which is a long-standing trope, with Scovos specifically. But it seems that hey, there's this big Heroic vault that's there, and all these Heroic vaults, as we come to know, have these hidden treasures and such. It could very well be that this is where Deckard Cain hid the Herodric cube. Maybe he gave it, maybe because I believe with the lore, Cassia, who is the pseudo canon name for the Amazon of Diablo 2. It's basically canon, but it's she got her name in Heroes of the Storm. But much like Zool and Vala, they were originally named in, um, or I guess not Zool, but Vala was originally named in Heroes of the Storm, but then that it was her canonical name later in Diablo 3. Um, so it's there's like little tiny things. So we expect that it will continue to be Cassia, but she became the war matron, so kind of like the leader of the Amazons after Diablo 2 when she went back to Scovos. And so there could be a relationship there between her and Deckard, and he gave her the project cube for safekeeping and founded a vault there or something along those lines. It could be, you know.
So there's a
So
lot to unpack there. Is it logical for someone to expect that we would encounter Tyrael
possible.
based on this novel?
You know, yeah. Though the novel is taking place, is set well before the events of Diablo 4 because it's like a young Lorath is on the cover.
Okay. So it's not
Yeah,
old
you know,
Tyrael. But
yeah.
is it logical that maybe Tyrael, having had this adventure and whatever happens there, would seek out Scovos again to find something against Mephisto or whatever it is, knowing what would be there?
We still don't have any inclination as to what happened to Tyrael, where he went or what he's doing. It's literally has just given us nothing. He decided one day he was just going to walk out into the woods and is never heard from again. So
Right.
we just don't know. There was like the teaser with the original Diablo 4 announcement where it could have been that Lorath was talking to Tyrael's grave.
Mm.
When he was, and we never got that scene in the game. So there's uh and then through the various levels of PTR that we had leading up to the launch of the game, there was some little like lore tidbits that were changed of Tyrael becoming scared and leaving to just Tyrael deciding that left under mysterious causes, and things, so we don't know where they're going or what they're doing with Tyrael's story. Maybe this novel will give us a clue. Maybe the
Right.
expansion will delve into that a little bit. It's also just nice that someone's mentioning, Malthael's reaping because I think it has like one utterance, like in the
Right.
entirety of Diablo 4, that 90% of humanity was wiped out. Not a big deal. We don't. It's only been 40 years. We've forgotten about that stuff. It's fine.
Get over it. I mean,
Yeah.
I will point out in the way the world works now, people just don't have the type of attention spans anymore to remember that. I
Yeah.
Was it possible, and hear me out, that the Mephisto was running a little bit of an operation trying to convince people that maybe it didn't happen, maybe it was a hoax, maybe Malthael's not real, and people are just forgetful. I would say
Yeah.
maybe. Um, what a strange world we live in. But I digress. Okay, so maybe no Tyrael. Um, I still think it'd be weird. Do you think there is a likelihood that we would get to encounter it's been a long time, but that we would see our Diablo 2 Amazon? I mean, we got
Mashif was still alive.
I yeah, like that's I feel like that is the if we could have Mashif, whose lifestyle doesn't exactly seem to be like, oh, I should live for way long. Um,
Yeah.
Whereas you had a very fit Amazon who's chucking spears left and right and has to be in good shape. Plus,
Yep.
yeah, I always just kind of assume in like the general power fantasy of video games that like if you're a hero, like you've got some sort of magic coursing through you that allows you to live a little bit longer.
Plot armor.
Yeah, exactly. It's the plot armor of it. Would you feel comfortable making that prediction?
Um, I'm 50-50 on it, to be honest. You know, I would like a mention of
Yeah.
her and like some talk of her, but I would feel better if she actually was dead. It's been what I think it's been a total of 60 years, since the
Yeah.
events of Diablo 2. It is possible for her to still be alive. But I probably would prefer that that she's dead and that someone else is like war matron now.
Yeah, I mean, there would be some logic to it, but the member berries of it
Yeah.
all might be enough that, like, yeah, no, she's still here. She's kicking ass. Actually, she's a real kick-ass grandma. Look out.
Yeah.
Here
You
here
know,
she is, ready to run you down. Uh, I'm
it's for people at least, like, if you're a lore nerd or care about like those types of things, like it's nice that there would be like a book or a conversation or a side quest that you can do that gives some more lore or hints as to what happened to her, kind of like
right,
what happened with the Diablo 2 Paladin,
right.
uh, where we found the end of his story in Diablo 4. That it would be nice for that type of thing, like the little nod. But like, one of the worst parts of the Diablo 4 campaign was Mashif. It's because it's kind of like,
Right.
why did it have to be him?
Out of
Why
all
would,
the people,
out of
yeah.
everything, like, why do we have to member berries that? Like, let it lie.
I th-
Let's introduce some new names, new characters.
I think like one of the niceties and I guess like one of the things I've always enjoyed about the Diablo series is the continuation and the culmination of the story that happened before it. Like when you went from 1 to 2, you found out the fate of the rogue. You found out the fate of the sorcerer, and obviously you were following the warrior, right? And that was
Mm-hmm.
cool. It's like, oh, awesome. And then you got to see the decimation of Tristram, and you saw Wirt, and you saw Griswold, and you're like, okay, that's right. So all that stuff that happened before, I'm still in that world, but that story did end, right? And then we moved
Mm-hmm.
on and we started to hear the stories of the Diablo 2 characters, right? Like, and it took a little while, and we still don't actually know what has happened to all of them, right?
Yeah.
Because we've the barbarian, what, wait, correct me if I'm wrong. The barbarian
The
in 3 isn't the barbarian in 2, or is he?
it is not. It
That's
was
what,
it
yeah,
was the first draft of the game. It was supposed to be.
which it should have been.
It was yeah. It was going the Diablo 3 barbarian was going to be the Diablo 2 barbarian, and that's why it's like the it's like the male is older, all gray beard and
Right.
everything like that. But they ended up scrapping that idea.
Still
Which
should
I
have been.
believe that we never actually got the full story of what happened to the barbarian. We don't know what happened to the druid.
Right.
The assassin ended up becoming a demon hunter.
Yeah.
Um, the she left the order of the assassins and became a demon hunter. Zul the necromancer ended up becoming like a high ranking necromancer and taking on apprentices, who we got to meet one of his apprentices in the story of Diablo 3. We don't really know quite what happened to him past that.
Right.
um well, I guess we did see a little bit of Zul also in Diablo Immortal. um
Oh yeah.
so we got to see a little bit of him in between 2 and 3. We just found out what happened to the paladin.
Right.
The sorceress, her story was tied to the wizard, leading up into Diablo 3.
Yep.
Um, the paladin, yeah, when we
Paladin.
got the
Yeah, Paladin. We
paladin,
got to find out about.
yeah.
Uh,
Cassia, the Amazon, we only got to know a little bit that she went back to Scovus and became war matron.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's about it.
But again, like kind of coming back to that, we've had the culmination of certain storylines. There still is, in keeping with that tradition, some book ending. We got the end of the Paladin story, as you mentioned before. There's still a few characters out there that we don't know. And then
Yeah.
there's the unanswered question about the Diablo 3 character, which 4 has
Yep.
still yet to answer. And like keeping of that tradition of like the successor kind of like answering the questions of what happened to the characters that came before. I don't think Lord of Hatred answers that question yet. I think that
No.
is a I think that question does get answered, but I don't think that happens until after Lord of Hatred. I think that is a later problem. I think whatever happens after Mephisto is when that character is coming back in some form. But yeah, um, would you agree on that or
I mean, I would. I guess I agree with it. I would just be happy if they did address it because, like, currently, like one of my complaints about the Diablo 4 story is, it's like, hey guys, remember Diablo 2, and then let's forget Diablo 3 happened. It's
right?
just a yeah, we had like what we know of the Crusaders, that when a Crusader dies, they pass on the name and their armor to the next. And so we had Johanna, who is the Crusader for Diablo 3, her apprentice's apprentice, because we there's the quest out in Hawazar that when you have the apprentice who is under Johanna, and it's like, oh, cool, maybe we'll see her. And then you find the corpse in the keep, and it wasn't Johanna.
Right.
It wasn't the one that we knew from Diablo 3. So she had already died and passed on the name, at some point previous to the story. So all that we know is that, well, she died at some point, and that was about it. But like with Diablo 2, the canonical Diablo 2 ending, just the same as the canonical Diablo 1 ending, wasn't really established until Diablo 3, where they went through and it wasn't just a singular hero, it was all of the classes together, the full
Right.
party that fought and killed Diablo. But Diablo 3's writing, where Nephilim is both the singular and the plural, was
Mhm.
done very specifically so that way, the ending could be anything. It could be you, the Nephilim, singular, is what actually like killed Diablo, the primeval Malthael, or it could be
Right.
later, changed to, the Nephilim plural, together is what got there and killed them. But yeah, whether they actually decide to answer that question and give Diablo 3 a real canonical ending, who knows?
Yeah, and I think we've brought it
I,
up several times on this podcast, but it just had the way it was left hanging for so long, and we're on to expansion number 2, something that we didn't even necessarily think could happen. The first time Diablo's ever getting a second expansion, and that story not feeling complete does kind of irk me. And I'm not the biggest lore nerd, right? But like
yeah,
Diablo 3 ended that way. Why hasn't that character been resolved? Be it they're dead, they were killed, they were corrupted. Anything would feel better than nothing. Um,
mm-hmm,
like I understand not having Tyrael, um, but that character being as powerful as they were and not showing up needs to be resolved. Cause
for sure. Just mentioned anything, like
right,
yeah,
like oh man, it was real crazy that like as you mentioned before, like nobody's talking about it. Yeah, 90% of the world's population just like fucking died. That was weird,
yeah,
but thankfully we had the superhero who killed Super Diablo. Um,
it could even be, we might not find out till if when maybe there's an expansion 3 if we ever end up going back, to Westmarch, Honduras, that area. It We could have a tomb of the Nephilim, outside Westmarch, the hero of Westmarch,
right.
saved the world and, killed death and all that such. Maybe they'll save that for another time. Who knows? So
Or
or
that
or or maybe they'll take another route, and that again Diablo 4 is setting a precedence, so that way it's, Diablo 4 is talking about Diablo 2, So
Mm.
then Diablo 5 can talk about Diablo 3.
And ignore all of 4, just
Yeah.
rainbows and unicorns the whole way through. That'll
It
win them
was
over.
unicorns the whole way down.
um, it could also be that take the Nephilim, corrupt them, make that the vessel for Diablo, just like Akaret has become the vessel for Mephisto, and then shit starts getting really real from a lore perspective and from a world perspective. That would be
Yeah.
cool. But I don't know. Like I just for me, that is what I want. I love the bookends that happen in the series. Not having that for 3 just feels wrong. So,
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard, it's too late for this expansion. If you haven't done it, you can't, right? The uh, cinematics already made, quests are already designed. But for the next one, maybe think about it. Okay. So we're going to Scovos. We may not see Tyrael. We may. Uh, I think it is logical that Tyrael's there, right? You need at least one fan favorite character. Do you, if
Yeah.
if Tyrael's there, does Tyrael get killed?
Mm. That is, I got another one for you.
Okay,
If Tyrael gets killed, does he come back?
that's a good question too, because like he, and here look at this.
Because it's not,
His he
because
shouldn't
it
be able to, right?
yeah, shouldn't,
But
but he
he did
shouldn't have been
he
able to have come back the first time.
exactly. So maybe he's a
Yeah.
special kind of angel. Um, there's so many things about like all he had to do was rip his wings off and then he became a human. Like so many things. But I digress. So he is human.
But he be so
He's
he
older
became
too.
mortal. He became
Mortal.
mortal.
Yeah.
He didn't become human. He became mortal.
Yeah, but like he still had to learn to eat and all that kind of stuff. Like he's basically
Yeah.
human, right? I know
Yeah.
he told me so
Kind
many
of.
times about how he decided to eat all of a week's worth of food. Um Sometimes I miss that stupid dialogue. But yeah, I know an angel in the Diablo lore, when they die, they are reincarnated to a different angel. Like they don't retain anything. Tyrael was the first time that that had happened, that they came back as Tyrael. And look, here he is, and he's still doing his damnedest to help out. If Tyrael dies, does he become an angel again? I'm gonna say yes.
Hmm.
I think he does. I think like there's something wrong or special about him that he would come back as an angel, and maybe that's how they don't piss off a bunch of people like they did with Deckard Cain, where like, oh, you brought back a favorite character and you killed him in the worst way possible. Now this one, like,
Yeah.
oh, he had to die so that he could go back to heaven and unlock the door. Hmm, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Because I'm honestly that's a question that has conflicted me since Reaper of Souls, because Tyrael choosing to become mortal was a very Tyrael thing to do. It made sense for the character. It is a natural progression for his story, and uh, him coming back, if he were to die as a mortal and then come back as an angel, completely invalidates that entire choice. It invalidates that whole character arc. You know, and at the same time, Tyrael's wings, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's just part Tyrael was one of the things that caused me to fall in love with Diablo. The whole cinematic, at the end of Act Two, him getting into the fight with the Wanderer and the newly resurrected Baal. It was just amazing. It's like that's a goddamn angel right there. So there's a part of me that would love to see Tyrael again, but at the same time, it's like it really it really is like just giving the fans what they want and f the story, you know. So it's
Yeah,
like yeah
but if there's a good enough reason for it to happen, also if he dies and then like just happens to turn back in, like he can't control that, right? If it just
yeah,
happens.
but
So,
but it is still a cop out.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it won't change him coming back as an angel. No matter how they justify it in the lore, it's still it's still always going to be a cop out.
Right. I would just
Yeah.
imagine, him waking up as an angel going, "Oh shit, here we go again."
Here we
And
go again. Yeah. Yeah.
repeat the cinematic.
I I I feel the best thing to do would be to just let him die. You
So,
know, because
if
it's
he's
already is
there, does he die?
how many times is he gonna sacrifice himself, die, and get resurrected in the Diablo series? You can only they've already done it once, and it was like, okay, that was cool, that's awesome, but like he as soon as he got resurrected, he decided to give away his immortality and become immortal to become one of us because he believed, in the righteousness of humanity and that we were worth defending,
Right.
and that it was worth giving up his immortality in order to protect us and stand alongside us in the great in the eternal conflict. Um, and so it would be a really sad end of that particular like retconning of that character arc just to have him come back as an angel again. As cool of a character as he is, you've gone down this path.
Right.
Sure, it was different writers, that were writing the story at that point in time, but you know, it, that's that's what it is. That's where we're at. If he dies, let him die. You know,
So,
because I was
if he's
at
there,
the end of
does he
Diablo
die?
2, he died. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, I would say nah. Don't let him die fighting Mephisto. Let him die fighting Diablo.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it's the right point for him to die. If you want it to do something or to have meaning, let him die like fighting Diablo. That type of thing.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Let it
could
let
see
him
it.
let him the ultimate character arc would be let him like give his life, his angelic essence, to restart like some sort of like, you know, catalyst that reforms the world stone, and
Mm.
puts the protective bubble around, Sanctuary again, something like that.
So maybe he dies and he's resurrected as the world stone.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's something we could do, right?
That's something that we could do. Yep.
um okay. So why Scovos? Like what would be Akarat's involvement in Scovos? As you mentioned before, right?
That's a that's a great question. I can't wait to see what the reasoning is.
I don't see. I thought you would have some insight because I.
I was not kidding when I said that there's like next to zero lore about the Scovos Isles.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
maybe.
and there's really no connection because like the Zacharium don't have a presence in the Scovos Isles. There
Right.
isn't, at least that we know of, because they were so insular that they didn't allow outsiders or anything like that on their isles. So I would imagine that there is no, churches of Zacharium. There's no Zacharium presence there. There's no reason for Akarat to want to go there. There's obviously a reason that Mephisto wants to go there, but that's a great question as to why.
Hmm. Man, I was really hoping you'd have something because I don't know. It seems
I mean, with the expanded lore that we've gotten on Akarat, with the Vessel of Hatred and such, was actually more ties to Zanzai,
right.
the wizard homeland, which is on the other side of the world. So they were pointing us in a direction, and then they went the other way.
Yeah. I mean, in our cinematic, and I'd be curious, like how much. in what we were given for that reveal trailer, like how much of that is lore accurate? You know, like how is that integrated into what we would expect for the story? I mean, it seems like you had accurate just kind of like wandering towards we don't know, and then he's attacked by the paladin. Um, is it possible that there's some sort of pilgrimage that he's trying to lead, maybe to Scovos? That
Could be.
that's I think that's the best I can do. That
Yeah,
he would
we
obviously be holding on to that visage, not trying to, um, go full Mephisto right away. What would be the
yeah,
point of that vessel if you were if you were just gonna go mask off immediately?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a lot there to make like any accurate speculation on.
Well, at least in that regard, like if there's very little known, it does leave an open tapestry for the writers to create. It also leaves a lot of room to not like step on any story toes. There's no retcon needed,
Mm,
right? If there's
uh,
nothing
and that's
there.
and that's the reason that I opened with that point. Is that it's a blank page. They can kind of do whatever they want with it.
Yeah. Which hey, I'm excited for it. Now, we talked about second class speculation, and someone in the comments on the last video brought this up that Amazon doesn't make sense because we can change class genders.
Yeah,
And I was like, shit, that like an Amazon in D2, yeah, it was locked.
yeah,
A male Amazon isn't a thing, so not an Amazon. So then what is it?
yeah. No, I've warmed up to the idea that it could be like a witch, you
Yeah,
know,
that would
something along those lines, the oracle or some sort of like exile,
right.
from the islands.
Yeah, there's a
But
lot of niches
like
out
I
there.
had just mentioned, the paladin has absolutely no attachment to Scovos whatsoever,
Right.
but we're getting a paladin because he has a big attachment, of course, to Mephisto.
Right.
So
Could it be a demon hunter?
uh I mean,
Like
there's possibility.
I feel like that steps on a lot of rogue toes
Yeah.
because it's like
I've also seen a lot of people that have been arguing about it online, and that now that we've got the paladin, the thing that people have been asking for, the second most wanted thing is something new. You know,
mm, yeah,
let's give the development team, let's see what they got.
yeah.
What can they make that's completely new from scratch?
Yeah, and we've seen there are a bunch of new classes out in Immortal.
Yeah.
Was it Tide Caller? I want to say like Tide something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's like Tide Caller, Blood Knight.
right.
Um, yeah, because they just added, like last year they added the Druid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which got its own bear pet, by the way. Would be nice if that was a thing. Um, so yeah, there are other classes in Diablo, just we haven't seen them in the mainline games, but Immortal's pumping them out. I don't think it would be an Immortal class.
yeah. Oh, it's
So,
not the Tidecaster; it's Tempest.
Tempest, that's it. Tempest. That, and I don't see it, but I would like a which might be interesting. Um,
Yeah,
okay. So as we look ahead for you and the story, what do you think is the most important thing or the thing that you want to take away from this expansion?
I want to fight Mephisto.
Yeah, obviously. We all
Yeah,
do. But like from a
yeah.
story perspective,
That's what I wanted from the last expansion. So
okay,
the expectations have continued to carry over.
right.
Yeah,
That's, I mean, totally fair. Um,
yeah.
yeah, uh, we do need that. Do you think that Mephisto at the end of Lord of Hatred will, and we know the primevals are never truly defeated, will we get the W on this one, or will we immediately be assaulted in some other manner? Like, are we getting the cliffhanger kind of ending again?
I would assume that we're getting a cliffhanger ending again. We're
Right,
going to defeat Mephisto. We'll get that W, but something that he will do in the course of the expansion is going to hasten the return of one of the others.
right,
And and if it's Bale, then we still got a couple more expansions to go, and that Blizzard believes in Diablo 4. And if it's Diablo, then Blizzard doesn't believe in Diablo 4, and we're winding things down.
I feel like it. I think there's a logic in the next expansion being a Diablo one, right?
Yeah,
It's been, you know, it would be expansion
it
3. It's a
is
meme in
it
some
is also
regard.
yeah it is one of those ones where it's like before the game released, everybody was like, "Oh, well, it's cool that we're fighting Lilith because it's always a letdown that we fight Diablo, who's supposed to be the biggest bad, the most evil thing, and then we have to fight someone else in the expansion that is somehow a greater threat than Diablo. Diablo always plays second fiddle to somebody else, and so it's good that we're fighting Lilith first, you know."
Right.
But then now that they bait and switched Mephisto for two expansions in a row, people are like, how is it that it's a Diablo game and there's no Diablo? If we had actually like fought and killed Mephisto in Vessel of Hatred, um, it I think there wouldn't be as many complaints, but like you're stretching you're stretching that out a little bit too much there. You're milking
Yeah.
that cow a little bit too hard to be like multiple expansions, per primeval.
Right. I think there was like the initial speculation of like, okay, we got Mephisto, and then we'll get Bale, then we'll get Diablo. And but
Yeah,
because of that that stretch of Vessel of Hatred, uh I don't, maybe we truncate that. Um maybe you do Bale and Diablo together, where Bale is early on and then you get Diablo. Or maybe we just don't do Bale. Maybe Bale doesn't show
yeah.
up. Um that'd be fine. We didn't really focus much on Mephisto initially, right? Mephisto really gets his time to shine in two expansions. Um, and Bale had his time to shine in a whole expansion. So yeah, we'll get Diablo in his own one, and Bale can fuck off for all I care. He's not a big deal right now. We'll get
I don't think that anybody would complain that if the next expansion, you know, after Lord of Hatred is just Lord of Terror, we
yeah,
fight Diablo, the story gets wrapped up, we wait God knows how many years for Diablo 5 and everyone will be happy. Like I
yeah,
don't think anyone's really going to go out of their way to complain that, oh, well, we didn't fight Bale, you know?
right. Yeah, I there also is like Diablo is coming up on its 30th anniversary, right? It'll have been
Yeah.
30 years of Diablo this year, 1996, right? So, wouldn't it be cool to be able to say that Diablo returns to Diablo on the 30th anniversary. I'm not saying that we would get the expansion, but at least the announcement of it that
Yeah.
we're we're coming back. Diablo 4, Lord of Terror. This is the date. Um, I could see that. I feel like that would fit. Just with it being the anniversary, right? To finally be able to kind of
Yeah.
put that in. So we'll see. Uh, any last lore thoughts as we're kind of wrapping up here?
No, I think that kind of covered it. It's I do appreciate the things that they've been doing in Diablo 4. It's they've been uh treading new ground, although I will go through and give them shit for all of their mischiefs. But for the most part, it is good that they're kind of like doing their own thing with the story, and while still being respectful to the things that came before. As we mentioned, they're talking about Diablo 2 and ignore
Right.
Diablo 3, but yeah, no, it's been a fun ride.
Coming back to the Mashif of it all, would Mashif be as annoying if we didn't have that stupid fucking camel in the desert part of the story?
Probably not.
Yeah, like he would have been
It's
totally fine, but then we got five,
yeah,
10 minutes of
escort quest.
unskippable escort quest. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
you couple it with the fact that he had to like stop and do a bunch of drinking and then he gets too drunk. Yeah, that was just bad. We didn't need to
Didn't need
do
that.
that. No, no, not that quest. What's funny is that it is possible that there are people tuning in who didn't play that initial campaign to know that quest, right? Because if you bought
Yeah.
Vessel, um, you just played that story and could level and not ever touch the base.
Well, I mean, if starting what, season 2, season 3, you just got to skip the campaign.
That's true. Well, I would
Yeah.
imagine if you were a true campaign skipper from this, from season 2 onward, that you
Yeah.
tuned out 30 minutes ago. Like, oh shit, they are still talking about the story that I did not pay attention to,
Still
and
talking about the story.
we are not going.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I will tune back in next time. Um, well, thank you everybody for tuning in this time and not tuning us out as we talked about lore for that long. Uh, at this point, it's January 4th. We're probably going to get some information in the next week or two as we get closer and closer to
Mhm.
February. And when that happens, we're going to get together. We're going to talk about it. And hopefully, we'll check in with all of you. And maybe we'll get Nerdbirds back too. Um, before we close out, as we always do, let me know what your speculation is. I want to know what you think the February surprise is going to be. Um, maybe we're all wrong, and it's something completely out of left field. But just like we can't be that wrong. We were pretty close on nailing what happened with the Paladin. So I mean, by we I mean me. I digress. I digress. Let's close it out as we always do with a moo, moo, moo,
Moo, moo, moo, moo.
moo, moo.